Hello everyone, my name is Chiranshi. Before beginning today's video, let me take a moment to just discuss my academic background with you all for some authenticity and reliability. So as you can see on my screen, there are certain scores that have been mentioned. One of the most prominent score that you can see is 99.3 percentile in CUET UG, which I gave in the year 2022, the year it was newly introduced, and I scored 100 percentile in business studies, 99.1 percentile in accountancy, and 99.7 percentile in economics. If we add English as well, then it sums up to 780 out of 800. Then if I talk about my class 12th with commerce plus maths, 96.2 percentage, and class 10, 95.4 percentage. If I talk about my work experience, then I tutored business studies live on the Exam Factor YouTube channel. You can check even now. And there is one of my solo lectures that reached the highest viewership on the channel, crossing 8,000 plus views, as you can see on my screen. Alright, so starting off with today's agenda, as you can see on my screen, or you might have checked from the title as well, it's about management and its principles. So इस particular video में we are going to talk about the meaning of management, the meaning of principles, and some basic concepts of management and the principles of management unit, but diving deep into one particular topic, which is the 14 general principles that have been given by Henry Fayol. Who is Henry Fayol? What are these general principles? Let me just discuss and start with today's session. So let me start with the term management first. What do you understand by management? Alright, management. It is made up of two terms, as you can see, which is management. We can break it down into manage and ment. If I talk about manage, what do you understand by the term manage? Manage simply means to organize, to run something smoothly, to avoid obstacles, to overcome challenges, to handle everything. Like for an example, if guests are coming to your home, your mother starts preparing for the food, preparing for other necessities, getting groceries, getting the snacks for the guest, cleaning the rooms, cleaning the bed sheets and the drawing room. So what is she doing? She's managing the house, she's managing the stuff, the whole objective, with an objective that guests are going to arrive and we have to be at a good position, we have to be at a good space to welcome them, right? So what is she doing? She is managing them, she is managing that stuff. So once guests arrive, she welcomes them with some drinks, snacks, food. So these are something that she's doing post they arrive. So this is all about how she's managing. So managing is something to organize, to run something. So in organizations, what is an organization? A firm, something, a group of people who are working together for an objective. Mostly that objective is sales oriented, profit oriented, and business oriented. So managing an organization is known as management. Management is a process of getting things done through people and other resources efficiently and effectively with the proper utilization of resources. What did I say? Let me just repeat it for you all. It is getting things done with an objective, which is the goal of the organization, through people effectively and efficiently. Alright, so what do you understand by effectively and efficiently? This is basically the optimum utilization of resources. No resource should be wasted. Why did I mention through people? Because people are the biggest asset of any organization. If there are no people in the organization, there is not going to be any work done. So management is all about getting the things done, getting the tasks done from people to achieve one objective. That is the whole purpose of making this organization at the first place. Getting that objective fulfilled effectively and efficiently, which is proper utilization of resources. I hope the meaning of management is clear to you, because this is very crucial to begin with, and I hope this is clear for you all. Alright, so we understood the meaning of management. Now, I wrote its principles as well. So what do you understand by principle? Principle is basically, as you understand, the principle is something, a guideline, a base. Even for your school, there is a principal in your school, right? So, what does a principal does? He sets the rules, he sets the guidelines that you all adhere to. The teachers, the students, the staff, everyone adheres to the rules set by the principal of the school, right? So, rules, regulations, guidelines, foundation, base, which are set in order to do further working and for further decision making as well. Right? So what did I say? Decision making and rules, guidelines, foundation, base. Principle is all about the rules, the guidelines, the base that we set for the other people of the organization to do work based on those. For example, I set a principle of not sleeping between 3 to 4 p.m. This is a principle that I have set for you all. Alright. So, since you are a school student, so your school ends till 2:30. You come back to come back home by 2:30. Then you have your lunch, and then it's around 3 and you feel like sleeping. But since I have set this rule for you, I have set this guideline, this principle, that you are not supposed to sleep between 3 to 4 at this particular place. So what you will do? You will do something else. You will plan to do something else between 3 to 4 p.m. and then you plan to sleep maybe by 4 or 4:30. So you have planned your schedule, you have planned your tasks, you have planned your working according to the principle that I have given you, and you do other things accordingly. So this is what a principle does to you. Principle is nothing but a rule, a guideline that is set for other decision makings for further working. Alright, I hope I am clear to you. Now, I have written few things on the screen. What is principle? I hope I have made clear it to you. Even if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Then, why management and its principles are important and needed? Look, as I take an example of guest arriving at home and your mother doing all the chores and managing every stuff, if she wouldn't do that, what would happen? Right now, immediately write it down in the comment section below. What would happen if your mother was not managing all that stuff and she was casually taking it and welcoming the guests, or guests are arriving, you do not have anything to offer to them or any snacks or anything else? What would be that situation be? Now, if she would not manage the things as I mentioned, what would happen? Guests will arrive, there will be nothing to offer to them, no food to offer, no drinks to offer, no snacks, because she hasn't ordered them at the first place, because she's not managing it. She's sleeping, she's casually doing other stuff. She has not swept the room, she has not cleaned the bed sheets, it's all dirty around. So what would happen? Guests will feel so bad, they'll feel like disgusting, right? So due to this, the reputation in front of the guest falls down, of you, your family, and every other member of the family. How are they living? Oh my god, this is so dirty. You couldn't eat there anything because you were not offered at the first place. So all this scenario created a negative effect. What did it create? A negative impact ultimately, right? Similarly, for an organization, if there is no management, if there is no one to manage things, what will happen? Because for an organization, there are people working, employees who you say, or the staff. There are certain resources such as computers, internet, Wi-Fi, stationery, and stuff like those, right? And there are many other things. All right. So if there is no one to manage them, what will happen? People might misuse the resources, right? Resources might be misused, or there is not optimum utilization of resources. Resources will be wasted, people will go home early, they won't do work properly, productivity decreases, efficiency decreases. Why? The whole cause goes to there was no management. If there is no management, if there is no organizing of things, if there is not proper utilization of resources, who is supposed to do what is to be allotted to what work, who is to be given the power, who is to be given the duty, who is accountable, if not all these things are organized properly, what will happen? Ultimately, the business will shut down. That is one of the major cause of management being absent. That's why we need management in the organization. Now, what is the need of organization? As I mentioned, for organizing, to run the organization properly, to run the business properly, we need management, right? Now, what is management? What are the features of management? How does management looks like? What are the characteristics of management? These are the things that we are going to see. Goal oriented, pervasive, continuous, group activity, dynamic, intangible force. What is this? Management is goal oriented. Understand it like that. Management is goal oriented. There is a purpose of which due to which we are doing management. That is why we are managing things in the organization. So that is what goal oriented means. Then we have pervasive. Pervasive means present everywhere. Present everywhere. What does this mean? Management is present everywhere means it is present in every kind of organization, whether small, whether big. For example, the company Tata and my startup both have management. I'm managing things myself on my own. In the Tata groups, in the entire company as a whole, someone else is managing. The manager, the assistant manager, or the top level management is managing things there. So management is going on there as well. It is going on even here. So management is what? Pervasive. It is present everywhere. Pervasive means presenting everywhere. Whether it is in the lower level, for suppose if some production is going on in my, for example, I have printed books, so there are production going on in my factory for my books, so there is management over there. And management is also going on in my classroom, management is going on in my corporate workspace, management is present everywhere. Continuous. Continuous means it continues, go and go and go on. Non-stop working of management. Management never stops. I'll explain it to you when we come to functions, how this continuous function works. But for now, understand that management is continuous, because once you stop the management, how will you function? How will your organization work? So continuously it goes and go on and on. Then it is a group activity. Obviously a single person cannot manage the entire organization. You need multiple people to build a team, to manage everything, to organize things. So that is why it is a group activity. Dynamic, since the environment is changing, uncertain, continuously, that's why management is being called as dynamic, because it is very flexible in nature. As the situation arises, it molds itself, it changes its rules, it changes its things, not just basic rules, but how it is using that rule in that particular situation. For example, I'll take an example of McDonald's. You must have heard the name or might have eaten something from this particular outlet. If not, that you must try their aloo tikki burger. It's nice. So if I talk about McDonald's, so what McDonald's did, it is, since it is MNC, which is multinational company, it is not from India, it is from outside India, right? We know that. When it arrived in India, for the first time, this is a real example. When it arrived in India, what it menu had? Chicken, the non-vegetarian stuff, the meat that is not usually eaten in India. So Indian consumers were very restricted, and they were not really going towards having any food in McDonald's, due to which initially their sales started falling in India, because Indian consumers were not able to adapt to what McDonald's had to offer to them. So what McDonald's did, they saw this culture, they saw this trend in India, that what consumers actually need, what they're asking for in the Indian market. They changed and modified their menu accordingly. What they brought? Their most famous aloo tikki burger. This is the most selling burger in McDonald's in India. This is not present in menu of other foreign countries. It is only present in Indian menu. Why? Because Indian consumers were not adapting to what McD had to offer initially to them. So they had to change their menu for just India. And that is what dynamic nature means. This is how dynamic McDonald's had to be in order to adapt to Indian market and gain the market share in India. And now look at McDonald's, where it is reached. Then we have intangible force. Can you see management being done? Yes, we can see. If my mother is cleaning the bed sheets or cooking food or groceries, you can see the action of cleaning, you can see the action of cooking, you can see the action of offering them something, offering the guest something. But can you say there is something that management, that you specifically say all these things comes under one umbrella of management, that things are being managed? But how? Those are actions. But specifically management, you cannot see it everywhere. Are you going to tell mother when she's cooking, are you saying you're managing? She would say, are you mad, I'm cooking. So that is where this concept of intangible force comes, that you can feel it. What is the meaning of intangible? Intangible means you cannot touch it, but you can feel it, you can see its results. You can see the result, that the guest is happy, the food is being offered, the food is ready, drinks are being offered, snacks are offered. This is the result of management, but not the management. What is tangible? You can touch it, you can feel it. Intangible means you cannot touch it, you cannot touch management, right? Mother is managing you, how can you touch? So You can see the results over there, but you cannot touch it. That is why management is known as intangible force. Now, coming on to management's functions. How does it work? Now, everything has certain set of functions, right? Let me explain you with the help of an example again. For example, your mother is welcoming the guest. She's preparing everything. What is this preparing means? We are saying that she is preparing for, suppose, a list of tasks to do. What are those tasks? Order groceries, order snacks, cleaning room, mopping, and then we have cooking, all, etc., etc. So these are certain tasks that she's planning to do. Very casually I'm saying, right? Planning to do, right? So the very first step she did was open a notepad and wrote all these tasks. What did she do? The very first step she did plan. Before starting work, she found out that I do not have this particular vegetable, I'll order it. I do not have this particular snack, I'll have to order it. So she analyzed the requirement over there. She analyzed what she has, she analyzed what she doesn't have. Accordingly, she planned the stuff and made a list out of it. So this is what the very first step of management, planning. Planning is the first initial step of management. She is managing, and the first step she did was to plan. What is she supposed to do? Before getting into action, she planned. Alright? Then, coming on, now she understood what she wants, what she requires, she ordered. She got the stuff. Now, she decides what I have to do first, what I have to do second, what is my priority, what is my last priority. She decided that I'll make the drink at the very last, because as soon as the guests come, it will be fresh in front of them, right? So she planned to make the drink just 1 hour before the guests arrive. Alright, she decided to prepare the tray of snacks where she is serving before 2 hours of guests arrive. Then she plans to sweep or clean the bed sheets. Then she plans to organize other stuff kept in the house, and the very first thing that she decides to do was cooking, because it is something which is very time taking. So she decides that she'll cook for the very first thing and then do all the things later on. So what did she do right now? She organized everything in a proper order. What term I used? Order, organize. Right? So she organized everything in a particular order. Now, while she was cooking, she felt something. While cooking, she felt that I have a lot to do in just span of 4 hours. I have a lot of things to do. Organize, sweep, clean, then serving tray, drinks, and many other things. So I need help. What did she realize? I need help of someone. So immediately she calls you. And as soon as you go there, she asks for help, you become sad. Oh my God, I'll have to help you. Better help your mothers. Alright. So, while cooking, she required help from someone. So, you started helping her. Now there are 2 people doing all the stuff. You and your mother. Then, while doing all of this, what did you do? She asked you to cut the vegetables. She asked you to cut the vegetables. But you being you, You don't know how to cut the vegetables, so you ask for direction. You ask for, give me the direction, then I'll do it. Teach me. So what did your mother do? She taught you how to cut the vegetables on the chopping board, and you started doing the stuff. Now, meanwhile you are cutting the vegetables, she makes sure that it is a very crucial thing. It is a very important. We cannot miss out. There should not be any problem today. What did she do? She continuously look after you. She continuously supervises you. She continuously looks at you, how you are doing, whether you are doing good, whether you are not doing good. She looks at you, right? Throughout this process. Now, you did a decent job. Not very good, not very bad, you did a very decent job. What did she observe? She observes that her child, that is you, did a decent job. Now, how could she say that it was a decent job? Because she expected that you will do hell, you will do very bad, but you still reached at a point where you could put that vegetables into the cooking. So she compared her expectations, what did she expect from you, and actually what you did. She compared it, right? And you did a very decent job. You actually did a good job and met her expectations. It was above her expectations. So how did she achieve this particular conclusion? How did she got that conclusion that it was a decent job? When she observes you. Alright? And if there were any deviations or any mistakes that you did, that she observed that you were not doing this particular thing properly. For example, there were 4 vegetables that you had to cut at the first place, and you managed to do properly in the 3 of them, but one vegetable, that was for suppose ladyfinger, and you could not cut that properly. So she observed that he couldn't cut this particular vegetable properly. I'll teach him later on. Right now we do not have enough time, but I'll teach him later on. So all these conclusions, how did she reach to all these conclusions? When she observed you, right? Now, coming on to the topic, ma'am, what is the story that you are telling to us? Now, सबसे पहले, the very first thing she did was preparing, right? Planning. She planned everything and made a list out of it. Then, after planning, she organized everything in a priority order. That what is she going to do for the first, and then second, and last. She ordered and organized it, and this particular step is known as the organizing step of management. These are very easy. I'll explain it to you for first time, and you'll get it in the first go itself. So second most important function of management is organizing. Then after organizing, she started to pick one particular task, and in that she required the help of someone, because she found out while working that she could not do it all by herself. She needs someone. So what did she do? She called you, and calling someone taking help from other individual is known as staffing. I'll explain it to you further in this particular video itself, what is the meaning of staffing. But for now, understand that taking help from someone or including someone else in that particular task or work is known as staffing. Then coming on, you were cutting the vegetables. You asked for help. You asked for her help. That please teach me. What did she do? She gave you the direction, and in return, she also supervised you. So supervision, giving direction, this is the fourth step of management, which is directing. I hope I am making sense to you all using this example. I use the example because so that it is easy to understand when you are doing things, when you will be solving questions in the further time period. it will be easy for you to recall what I taught, because we can learn the functions: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. But with the help of example, you will recall that I took an example of guest arriving home, mother managing everything. First of all, she prepared the list and stuff like that. So the sequence that I'm telling you, it will be easier for you to understand. Now the last and the final most, because the work is done here, right? You did a decent job, the job is done, food is cooked, other things also you both try to manage. So the work is done. This is the last step of management where the work is done. This is known as controlling. How controlling? Because she was observing you continuously. She found out that what kind of job you did. She compared your performance, actual performance, with the expectations she had out of you. And if there were any mistakes, she found that out and tried to tell you that I'll teach you later on. She made an effort to explain it to you in some other time period, later time period, right? So this is the last step of management, which is controlling. I hope this is clear to you. Let's just recall it. The very first step that she did was to plan and make a to-do list. Then what did she do? She organized in order, in the priority order, or divided the task in certain sections, what is supposed to be done first, then last, then stuff like that, right? Then while doing the work, she required the help of someone and she called you. You came, then you were allotted the job to do to cut the vegetables, and you didn't know how to cut the vegetables, so you asked her to explain you, to teach you. She gave you the direction and kept an eye on you continuously, supervised you. Then last but not the least, she measured your performance with what she expected at the first place, and this is where controlling is being done. So these are the 5 major functions of management, and as you can see on your textbook, this is what syllabus all about. The first book that you have, if I'm talking about the NCERT, so the first unit is management, second unit principles of management, and then third, fourth, fifth, sixth, these are planning, organizing, staffing, controlling, and directing till 7th. Then from 8, 9, 10, it is second book. So your class 12 business studies is all about these functions of management, and this is very, very, very easy. I'm here for the entire journey with you all, and it will be very smooth for you. All right, now coming on to the next topic, which is history and scholars of principles specifically. For our syllabus, there are 2 people who gave certain principles of management. Now what are the principles of management? Principles are the guidelines. Now principles of management basically means to do something, to manage something, you require some rules and regulations, because if there are no rules, if there are no regulations or principles, then people will misuse resources, as I mentioned in the first place, that the manager is trying hard to manage things, but one manager might be okay with people wasting the resources, but the another manager is not okay being resources being wasted. So there is a clash. Now what principles give you? Principles give both the managers the same rules, the same guidelines, the same base, what they are supposed to follow in order to run the organization. So these are the principles of management that everyone has to follow while managing things. Alright, so there are 2 people in our syllabus specifically who gave certain principles that we follow throughout. And when you read these principles, no, it will be very generic and very easy to understand, because you will understand that, yeah, this is very obvious. So obvious thing is what principle is. Base, foundation, right? That you are supposed to adhere to these rules and regulations, and you have to do it. Okay? So first one is Henry Fayol, who gave the principles related to the management. Now in an organization there are 2 classes. Management class, which is the administrative, who take the decisions of the organization, the top management. the heads, the leadership. Then we have workers class, who actually work on the floor, shop floor. That F.W. Taylor, Frederick Winslow Taylor, said shop floor. He used the term shop floor, which means the ground level, the ground worker class. So there are two classes, management and workers. So Henry Fayol gave principles for the managers to follow, and F.W. Taylor gave the principles for the workers to follow. Principles are nothing but in order to increase the efficiency and effectiveness, because management is all about getting work done effectively and efficiently. So management principles are all about how best someone can do their work. So these are made with an objective that how best we can get things out of something. Alright. So coming on to our 14 principles of management, which was given by Henry Fayol. These 14 principles, once you understand, it will be easier for you to recall and remember all the 14 principles. Don't worry about that. And you have to learn all these 14 principles, because these are very simple and questions will definitely come from this particular topic. 14 principles, I'll just walk you through all the 14 principles, then one by one I'll explain it to you in the further lectures, which is each principle will have a dedicated lecture video. So, division of work, authority, responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual interest to general interest, remuneration of employees, centralization, decentralization, scalar chain, order, equity, stability of personnel, initiative, aspirity, corps. By going through them, it might feel very tricky at some point, but I'll make sure I am ensuring you guys that it will be very simple for you to understand once I explain it in very simple words in further lectures. So I hope you stay tuned for the next videos, and I'll bring each principle in every single video. Thank you so much for staying till the end. I hope we connect again.